Hello, 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 and welcome to Love and Lunch with Joanna Keeble and Joe Cooper, where we talk about all things love, life, and intimacy. And today I'm coming to you from an exciting new anonymous location, and it's a special edition as well because it's Sunday. Shh. We're doing a pre-record. I'm on a particularly demanding intensive course right now. My lunch break today is going to be non-existent, but yeah, I wanted to get this recorded in a way that felt grounded. And for me, one of the pieces was not to actually wait to Tuesday and then maybe be rushed, or maybe my lunch wouldn't be in the right time or long enough. So yeah, Joe, thanks for recording this with me today. My name is Joanna Keeble. I'm founder and coach at Big Beautiful Boundaries. That's my website. That's the name of my course, bigbeautifulboundaries.com. You can find out about the work I'm doing there, helping people get more confident, more clarity, and more empowered to use their yes and no and feel into what it is they want and take action that is aligned with their beliefs and their desires. Okay, I also have a Facebook group, and I'll drop a link to that below. And here's Joe Cooper.
Beautiful, thank you. Yes, I'm Joe Cooper. I'm a dating, sex and relationship coach, and I help women to identify what they want, how to ask for that so they can have fulfilling relationships, where they can have mind-blowing sex, exquisite attention, limitless love, and timeless connection, which is my acronym for MELT, my group coaching program. And yeah, I'll let you know at the end of the call how you can come into my Facebook group, which is for women only, empowering women to ignite their desires. And yeah, I'm going to be hosting a masterclass on Tuesday, so I'm super, super excited. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and so last week we were talking a bit about boundaries, a bit about, and we did a focus on no, right? Different relationships with no, the sort of societal stigma on a no. And then just before the session today, Joe and I have been talking about something that's been coming up for Joe lately, and I think this ties in quite nicely.
It does. It really ties in with like honoring your no. And I often find like with honoring your no, I'll just keep it on myself, but honoring my no, it's like it can be, it's actually more challenging than saying yes. Because it's almost like, for me, yes kind of feels like high, exciting. It almost feels like it feels more comfortable to be in my yeses. But when I'm in my no, it's like this kind of deeper, richer heaviness, but it feels super grounded. And yes can feel grounded as well, but it just feels different in my body, because I don't know how the other person is going to react. All I know is that I have to take responsibility for what feels good, to me, and to be able to honor that and to just kind of be with what feelings are coming up. And something happened recently where a friend didn't know this, but like a boundary got crossed, and it's just like, what do we do when a boundary gets crossed? Like, how I used to deal with like boundaries and crossing was I'd maybe speak to a friend about it and use it as a way to gossip and say how wrong they are, but I'd never speak the truth to them. That is a habit that I think all the way through my 20s, I must have said that. And it was so uncomfortable to deliver the truth, like really uncomfortable, because it's vulnerable. It's super, super tender and vulnerable to go in there and being like, hey, when you said this is what I felt. And so being able to recognize when something doesn't feel good in a friendship, and to be able to take a moment, and this is exactly what I did, is like when I felt my boundary was crossed, I slowed down, I checked in with what was going on in my body, and when I could feel an intense amount of like you know, the temperature started to get really hot, it started to get really fizzy in like my solar plexus and my chest. I thought, okay, I need to finish this conversation. I need to go off the call and I just need to be with what is going on so I can figure it out. Because sometimes what I've done in the past is thought to myself, because when a boundary is being crossed, it can bring up a lot of anger. And so what has happened to me in the past is like I've wanted to attack someone in that space is actually just going to fuel the fire. And nothing really can get spoken about in a way that feels good for both people when you're talking in high sensation. It feels fiery, and yeah, it may be really good to just say what you want to say, but I think there's something about slowing down enough to be like, okay, how can I best serve myself in this place? How can I honor myself and what I need? And in that particular moment, I know that I needed to come off the call, take a moment, speak to a friend, and to just speak to someone about what is going on in my body and how is that making me feel. And there's such a power in doing that, because when I really got to the bottom of how I was feeling, I then knew what the next step was to take. And I think that's the beautiful thing, that if I just got really angry on this call with a friend, what had happened then is we'd just been in attacking mode and nothing would have got sorted out, and it would have just felt awful. It would have just felt terrible because I've done it before. And so what was really beautiful about this, and although it's hard and although it's challenging and it's been super uncomfortable, is I've gone so much slower, so slow that I've really felt I didn't know what I needed to say when I get back on the call with her or what to do, but I've had to honor, oh, I'm feeling that and I'm feeling that. And, you know, and it's been such an eye-opener, and it's been such a tender process. And I think there's such a gift in this, to be able to know that I can actually state what I need in this spot and it's absolutely okay, because the only person that's looking after me is me, you know, and that is the only thing I can really honor and be with. And yeah, I can grow a lot from this. I can grow a lot from the gift, because what's happening is I'm creating you know, like friendships and people around me where I can have a level of vulnerability and trust, and to know that I can bring all of myself. And it still feels really new. I'm going to tell you into truth, everyone. It actually feels really new, and it feels really vulnerable, and it feels a really tender spot to be in. A really tender spot, because I'm not bypassing any of the feelings. And I'm not going into blame or attack or any of these, like, oh, she did that and then she did that. It's just like, no, all I need to do in this spot is, how am I feeling and what do I need to do to serve myself and to keep myself safe in this spot.
That's really gorgeous. That's a nice place for me to just interject. I wanted to let you go because I know you got so much sort of sensation around this right now. Right, there's a lot going on, but that's a nice little place that ties in, because I wanted to go back to, you slowed down, and there's a really nice thing there. One thing is the slowing down, and the other thing is, it wasn't just, hold on, let me slow down and feel into what you've done wrong. It is, hold on, let me slow this down and feel what's going on for me. So there's this kind of a thing that we don't do if we don't slow down there, or if we don't have an awareness of healthy boundaries or triggers, like what happens there. And it's that place, you've called it attack. I mean, we could call it defense as well, right? Because when we feel that a boundary has been crossed, it feels like an attack. And so we hit back, which often the other person can experience as an attack. And then you're both in defensive. You're both like, da, 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 da. You can both be defending And it gets so tied up with our self-worth that we're defending our point of view as if that defines our value, our right to exist and be loved. And so, yeah, the thing is never the thing, right? So we're sort of clinging to our point because we get it tied up with clinging to our value. And it's almost like saying, oh, you know, you're not wrong means I'm wrong, or saying someone I'm admission of guilt or something feels like saying I'm not okay, I'm not acceptable, I won't be loved. So yeah, all of that mess of blame, the blame and shame game, when you can step away from that and put the focus back on us, and there's so much power there, right? Back on yourself. And something that I wanted to ask is if you would explain in a bit more detail what you mean by slowing down. Like, what did that look like in the process?
Beautiful.
And the feeling caused you to slow down, and how did you slow down?
Yeah, great question. Great question. I think it's really interesting because the spiritual work that I'm doing at the moment, I know that things don't work when I'm in kind of like adrenaline or in the fast lane. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've tried it all my life and it doesn't work. So for me, I was just like, okay, I'm going to just honor. And, you know, I checked in with my higher self and I was just like, okay, something needs to happen here. I knew from like basically slowing down for me was just like, you know, I told this friend, I just need to take a moment to feel. That was the first step.
But what was the trigger?
What was the trigger?
How did you know that something was off?
Okay, because I felt a sensation basically in my heart. I felt a lot of heat and a lot of sensation in this space, and it felt really uncomfortable. It felt uncomfortable, and I was like, oh, I can't bypass or ignore that. I need to take a moment to know what that thing needs. And then that thing communicated very quickly to me that I need to politely end this conversation and then sit with that sensation a little bit more, and connect with someone and just share a little bit more about exactly what came up for me and why it came up for me. And
there's something you said, sorry if I can just interject. There's something that you said when you were telling me before the call, you were telling me about this situation. So you have this feeling come up, and it just, you know, something kind of came out of the blue and it felt a bit off. And then you asked her, you just said, I just need to take a minute. That's beautiful. I think a lot of people don't do that. I think a lot of us don't know that we can do that, right? So to just say, it's beautiful. And then I think you were saying like it just got bigger, like the sensation actually expanded, and instead of finding like some resolve, some resolution, some peace or anything, it actually got like, it just became more and more. The discomfort was there and the heat was there.
Definitely. And it's really interesting because what happened in this particular spot was I went from like almost in shock and feeling almost like a numb sensation where I didn't feel anything to then oscillate into this like quite intense situation. And I think that kind of destabilization that was going on inside my body, I was just like, okay, I need to honor this. I need to take this super slow. It's something's trying to communicate something to me. And I'm not sure what it is, but I know I need to leave the call.
Beautiful. Just feeling it.
And I think for me personally, it's the first time in a long time I've actually done that. And I think that's almost why it feels like, you know, the work that I've been doing and the spiritual work and the depth and the growth, it's got me to a place of like really honoring my intuition, like really taking things so slow. And there's just something around not ignoring the voice.
Yes. Ah, so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting inner child, because it's so useful to think of that voice as a child that needs, like if you have a little child with you and they're screaming or shouting or crying or saying, hey, I want your attention, there's something there that needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of pick it up and you give it some attention. And yeah, or if it's fallen over, if it's screaming in pain, you don't just like the way that we ignore ourselves so often.
Mm-hmm.
It's often rewarded, like in the workplace it's rewarded. Just don't even react to anything you're feeling or experiencing and just carry on. I was actually in a coaching session this morning on my course, and with someone who she was talking about a sort of corporate environment, and let me see, sort of, yeah, and she's so sort of used to ignoring what she wants and saying yes to things. And it's that thing that happens in the corporate world where we just want to put, that was the phrase, projects over people. It was like, this person's taking care of projects and I'm looking at the people, and like the people have needs and you can prioritize one above the other. And often what we do is we get some external goal and pay attention to that and get really used to ignoring how we're feeling and just achieve the outcome. And then when we carry that habit over into our relationships and our friendships, where we're sort of in a habit of devaluing how we feel, of not stopping the flow of whatever's happening. That was the other thing you mentioned earlier, was like, yes can feel easier than no. And it made me think, yes is often the default.
Oh, you've hit this made me cough up.
Like my no feels like it interrupts, like it's going to be.
Yeah, and it can, and often we can say yes when we actually mean a no. And I know this to be true from my own experience. And sometimes, like, I don't know, like doing something when I don't really want to do it, whether that's with a partner that, I don't know, like a sexual partner, whether that's with a friend, like sometimes it's easier because I can't really feel my no. So it must be a yes.
Right. Yes, it's like a yes unless I feel a no.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're not feeling, if you're not connected to your sense of your yes and no, can be quite tricky. For me, how that used to play out was just being like, okay, yes, in relationships, in sex. And then because I wasn't like congruent, I wasn't really aware of what I felt in the moment. And then it would be a week or a month or a year before I went, oh, no, like that wasn't okay. And I don't feel okay that I did that. And I feel pushed around. Because I had some sort of belief that, why not? If you don't feel a strong no. And then what happened is I would feel a strong no, but I don't know, I had such a strong relationship with the yes. It's like, I haven't been practicing my no. I don't even have a no muscle. I can't flex my no muscle.
Flex your no muscle.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh, all right. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Such power and resonance. What time are we on?
I think we've got a couple of minutes left. So
Okay,
cool. I want to say
cool.
one tiny thing, which is just, earlier you said that you haven't done this before. I think you're talking about like putting in quite a strong no with a friendship, or like substantially changing the shape of a friendship.
Yeah.
And I've done it so much. I think no has been easier for me than yes in many places. Yeah, so that's interesting, but that's a story for another day.
Definitely.
So I'm just going to say, to wrap up, you can find me at bigbeautifulboundaries.com. You can come and join my free Facebook group, which is called Big Beautiful Boundary Builders. And that's for pretty much anyone who knows they've got some shit to work on and wants to just do it in a really chill, totally optional way, but in a little community that's a bit more focused than your average Facebook community. We're going to unpick some boundary bullshit, have a bit of fun, get a bit of permission. Big Beautiful Boundary Builders. And I'll be talking about my workshop as I get that plan together. I'm putting the workshop off for a bit to bring in some focus. It's going to be called the Yes and No Workshop. And yeah, coming soon. So get in touch with me if you want to know more about any of those things. And I'll hand over to Jen.
Amazing. Yeah, so as I mentioned at the beginning, I'll post my link underneath. You can find me. Yeah, men and women can find me on my Instagram. But in terms of the work that I do actually have a Facebook group that's Jo Cooper Coaching, which actually does have feeds of my Instagram, but I think more specifically in where the fun happens really is in my Facebook group, where I almost nearly every day do a live video with content. And that's empowering women to ignite their desires. And on Tuesday, I'm so excited to be hosting a masterclass, which I mentioned at the beginning, which is the Melt Experience. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be telling you all some, what am I going to be telling you? Oh, about a Black Friday gift. So if you log on, you'll be able to find out what the Black Friday gift is. And I'm just thinking, because this is pre-recorded, it's happening at 8 p.m. UK time. So yeah, I'm just trying to get my head around that. So come into the group, send me a message. I'd love to see you there. And yeah, I just hope to have some fun. So yeah. Amazing. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. Yeah, it's been really beautiful to kind of share this experience and just have, yeah, kind of like stuff that's kind of going on and real, and how we as coaches, you know, how we kind of deal and be with certain experiences, because we still have to go through our stuff as well.
You're not exempt from life.
Exactly.
It's having some skills though, isn't it? That's the thing, having a few tools to work with. Woo! So good.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, for me personally, I can just really see my work unfolding in my personal life, and I just think that's the really beautiful thing, like incredibly beautiful. So yeah, super excited. Anyway, my lovelies, me and Johanna Joanna are gonna leave for today, but as always, if you've got any questions for either of us, for both of us, you can get in contact with us, and we'll be more than happy to support you.
Give us something to talk about.
Totally. And let us know if you've had a similar experience, and you know, your experience, like how you were with that, what came up for you. It'd be super interesting to kind of know if you've had any similar experiences. So yes.
Awesome. Until next week.
We are going to love you and leave you. Bye.